Hello friends and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now today we are building out the facility you see in front of me here. We are going to get started on making sure that we can manufacture our computers and our heavy metal frames with the screw production that we created in the last two episodes. So this that you see in front of us is what we're building today. Once again coming to you from the end after I have recorded this video, just to jump in with a quick channel update. Just wanted to say thanks again to everybody who has been signing up for this channel to subscribe. It's been really great to see those numbers climb. You all have really been turning out lately, and especially for liking these videos. It really helps more people to see my content when you all go ahead and hit that like button. So if you like the sort of stuff that you're seeing in front of you here today, please do hit that like button. It helps a lot. The other thing I want to mention just as a quick channel update is, I mentioned this in the last couple episodes, it's taking me a really long time to build on this scale right now. So basically it's taking about 2 weeks to build out a facility like you're seeing here in front of us. There's just a lot of fiddly little bits, and I spent a lot of time working on the design to really make it come together. A lot of bits with the lighting and the coloring and creating the blueprints and being able to share those with you all that sort of stuff just takes a really long time. So as a result, the Satisfactory videos are going to continue to be about 2 weeks apart. But in the meantime, I'm going to be doing Minecraft videos. So we've started a Let's Play of the Sky Revolutions pack. Hopefully you all have seen some of those videos popping up. If you do like Minecraft content, please do check that out. Let me know what you think. We'll continue coming, just not as quick of a rate as I'm able to do with the Minecraft stuff. The Minecraft videos I can usually crank out really quick. Get about 2 of those out in a week, no problem. But with the Satisfactory content, again, it just takes a lot longer to build this stuff. So thanks for y'all's patience. We are going to keep both streams going simultaneously. We're going to have all that content coming, but you know, the Satisfactory stuff is just going to take a little longer. So with no further ado, let's dive right into today's build. Now, last episode, we completed work on our mega screw factory that you can see in front of me here. This is producing a lot of screws. I don't remember how many screws, but way more screws than we need at this point in the game. This is basically an end game facility for us. We don't even have belts at a high enough tier that we can actually deal with all of these screws yet. We're still on Mark III belts, but we are aiming to improve that situation very soon here. Because of that, we have a lot of belts coming out of here dealing with all those screws, and we need those in our factory over here for where we are producing our computers and our heavy frames. So we started that 2 episodes ago, but we didn't ever get it quite finished because we just needed too many screws and we didn't have enough of the other resources. So today we're aiming to complete the half-finished build that we have here for our manufacturers so that we can have those heavy frames and the computers. And with that, with any luck, we will be able to unlock our rail system. We had originally done these basic designs here using the chamfer tops and manufacturers painted in red. But once I sat down and started trying to plan this out in between episodes, I quickly figured that the logistics were going to get real complicated real quick. So I started tweaking the design a little bit here. We still have chamfer tops, and I added some nice stairs to go around it, but we're also using half foundations and these lovely painted beams in front. So I just kind of threw this together as sort of a half-finished design for us to have a starting point for thinking through how this is going to fit together. Now, the main problem is getting all of those ingredients up into this space. And I tinkered with this for a really long time, friends. Like a really long time, trying to find any optimal way to be able to split them between the different levels. And here's generally where I've come to. I think I can get most of the ingredients up through the pillars here that we have, all the way down from the bottom using the lifts without too much trouble. Now, with the basic ingredients that we need for a computer, that's going to be relatively easy because none of these are going to use more than what's going to fill up a Mark III belt for 4 of these manufacturers. So that's pretty good for us. Now, the recipe issue changes when we have heavy modular frames because 100 screws per minute is a lot. So we might have to have a dedicated series of belts just for those heavy modular frames. So I figured we will start with those because those are the most difficult. So we're gonna pick those off and we will paste these into our 4 manufacturers here, 2, 3, and if we drop down between here, 4. Okay. And we are gonna basically, I think, be bringing up our screws for 2 of these up the front, and the rest of the ingredients will pull up the back. So let's start laying this out a little bit. So here's our upgraded design. Underneath these chamfer tops, you can see we have all of our logistics routing coming back through and underneath to the bottom here. Basically 1 level below, and we've added the foundations in as part of that. We have some nice little half foundations and the painted beam that I mentioned. And then the actual ingredients are going to run into these splitters here. This will allow us to chain them together in a row. Alright, so I've been messing with this a little bit here. The hardest part so far has been logistics routing for this setup, mainly because we have to put so many belts in so tiny of a space. So to get around that, I've made it so that the back manufacturers are actually pulling off of the splitters from the front ones. And this is doing this split level design here across the different floors, so we can kind of have some sort of sense of consistency. Now, I think the trick to getting everything upstairs where we need it from the downstairs is to split right down here, and we are going to put the splitters probably like right on this edge, like this, and then like this, and then like this. That will give us just enough room that if we come up exactly above it, we can have floor holes connecting to those. So if I put my outlets here for my conveyor lifts, I should be able to then take a conveyor lift off the bottom and connect it right into those. So that should be the easiest way to get our ingredients to the proper floor that we want. Then all we have to do, of course, is come back in here and connect the right belts. Like that. Whoop, that's the wrong belt. No, that's the right belt, okay. And then like this into that one, and then the third one will go into this back here. So that is 3 of them. Now keep in mind that the 4th one here that we are dealing with is of course going to be our screws. So we're going to have a separate belt for each of those on each floor. And then we are going to just need to tell it that we need a floor hole. Anywhere in here will do, honestly. I'm just going to go back a little bit just to make this a little easier for logistics routing. And then the outlet goes here, and then that just goes straight into there. Wonderful. Now, I can bring this all the way down. Just have to make sure it's facing the right way. And that's right, I don't even have to deal with this here. So I'll bring it to that height. And then we, of course, will hook up another conveyor belt to it right there. Now, we have to go very far down in the back, and if we try to connect these, we can't make it all the way to the floor here, so we'd have to do 2 connected conveyors. One way around this is to take advantage of a pretty big glitch that exists in here. If you connect it to the bottom first, and then just look up to the place you want it to connect, you can make it automatically connect. So that's how we are going to get all of these into place without having to worry about the height restriction on our belts, on our lifts, sorry. So then we can just connect our belts up per usual and connect the belts up on top, and all of this will just start feeding. So that logistics setup will do for our heavy frames. For the computers, it's even easier. We don't need a second set of belts coming up the front because, of course, we can take advantage of the fact that it only needs a quarter the number of screws, and we can fit that on a single Mark III belt. So this becomes very, very easy logistically for us in that sort of a setup. All right, and there is our basic setup with our logistics hooked up. So now all I need to do is run the primary logistics, not just the screws, into these various machines. So that means connecting all the way back over here. So let me go run a ridiculously large series of belts, and I'll be back in, I don't know, an hour, whenever that's done. And there we go. Our machines are slowly roaring to life, getting all the ingredients they need. One thing I will note is that we hooked up everything but plastic. I still plan on bringing my plastic in via train, but it's all the way over there in our old plastic factory, and that's a long ways away. So rather than running belts all the way halfway, a quarter away across the map, a long way, I'd rather instead dump a bunch into a storage container for now, because that's going to be more than we're going to need for a while. So that way we can slowly make these computers. Circuit boards are currently our biggest bottleneck at this point, because we are only making, I think, about 30 per minute, and this actually wants to consume, well, a lot more than that. So we do need to upgrade our circuit board production, but that should be no problem because I'm using the recipe that uses quartz. So let's see here, circuit board. Right, this one here. This is a efficient recipe for what we are doing because basically we're only using one more piece of copper, but it goes way faster, basically more than less than double the other speed, and also it doesn't use any of our precious plastic. It just uses silica, so that makes it a much more useful recipe for us at this point. So slowly but surely we'll get our circuit boards in, and this will continue. Now, the next big thing we need to do here is manage our outputs. We have not actually done any output routing yet whatsoever. So we need to figure out how that's going to flow. I think what we're going to end up doing here is doing some sort of merge connector thingy that'll go probably behind each of these. We have a little bit of space behind each of these. We might just run these like straight back out and then down. That might be the most efficient way here. So we could actually add a little floor underneath here just for the logistics for those products that are coming out. We don't need a lot of room, but I do want something that's going to look like it fits here. So let's see here. Will you come down here with me? How about right here? Do that, and then we'll do that. How is that looking? Pull this one away. Yeah, this could be something. This could be something. Let's go over a little bit. Yeah, that's starting to look nice and chunky. And somewhat imposing. Yeah, I think we can live with that. I think that might look better than these just rounded corners that just disappear. That's generally starting to look right, but I think those might look better if we offset them by half a foundation. So I'm gonna nudge all of this over just a little, and there we go. I've made these other ones concrete for every other two, so that makes it look a little more industrial. I think that combination is a nice match for us. All right, so let's see if we can come up with a clever way to merge these up and then take them down to the floor below. I think what we want to do is actually go ahead and just use straight up mergers. And I think I'm going to do my conveyor mergers right here on the back of the bottom one. So that's going to come in on this side, and it's going to come in on this side here. Let's go up to the next level where the back of this is. Eyeball this as best we can. There we go. Not worrying if it's clipping a little bit into that wall. That's not going to look terrible for us. So those are all merged up now. This actually works fine for us because all 8 of these are only producing 1 per minute for our heavy frames, and then 1.25 per minute for our computers. So we can actually fit those on a regular Mark I belt if we wanted with no trouble. Now, to get them down, we just need to find a way to route them, and I think we're going to do... Let's see here. We could just come right through the floor here if we wanted. Right through this edge. That wouldn't be too bad, but I think just to kind of match what I've got going on over here, I'm going to do it from the back instead. So let's go ahead and drop in some conveyor floor holes just like this. We will go ahead and input into these like so. We have to start from the output end though, because there is that tricky little bug right now where you can't reverse the direction of these conveyor lifts, so hopefully that'll get fixed in the near future. And then we just put our inputs on top. Then all we have to do is run these up and connect them. So let's make sure these are right in line, just like that. We go back 2 ticks, and then in. Same thing over here, right in line, back 2 ticks, and then that'll make a perfect little curve for us. And now all of our computers are down here. All of our heavy frames are coming in. Now, just for now, we're gonna have some temporary storage here. Let's just go ahead and use Akila's small storage container. I think this is gonna be more than enough storage for us for how much we are producing at this time. So we just need to give it a little bit of room to put these into place. Let's do that and that. And we'll put this into here and this into here. There we go, and slowly but surely computers go in, and also we're getting heavy frames in. Wonderful. So to finish this design, I have a couple of different elements that I want to bring together and kind of resolve a little bit here. I still love these red painted beams along the front, those stripes there, and I want to carry that forward through more of the design. Again, that's something that I picked up from Scratch Gaming. they do a fantastic job of using that sort of a little design element along with other flat colors, and I think it works really well, so I'm using more of that. But I also like the big bold block color pieces too, which is why we're keeping those chamfers in place. Now, if you're designing this in vanilla, you don't have to use chamfers. You could use any concrete block there that's going to be paintable or walls or what have you. So I do want to keep that as an element, but I also want to bring in addition to the metal that I've got here, another contrast color a little bit that I'm thinking about playing with. I think here I've been using these concrete pillars, and I've been debating whether or not I want to use something like a bright swatch of orange that's going to look a lot darker when we put it onto concrete. Again, the coloring doesn't work so well in Satisfactory, so I'm wondering if something like this is going to give us a nice contrast. The other thing I want to play with here a little bit is maybe wrapping these columns in some concrete pieces as well. I was just really imagining that this could look really neat, not with the Structural Solutions concrete, but our standard concrete foundations that we have. So something like these round corners I thought could look really, really great in there. So let's grab one of these up, and you know what, let's go ahead and make sure that we're doing this right from the start. Let's use concrete foundation, outer corner extension, there we go. Something like this I think is going to go really well in here, and I do want to attach this so that it's on here, but I am going to slide it into place into the right spot because I want it to actually set in on these a little bit. So let me see if I can't get this lined up here. Let's hold this in place there with H, and then we're going to just use our infinite nudge to get it right back in here. I think that's where we want it. We don't want them to be too big. Yeah, that could work for us. And then we can fill in these side pieces here with something else. We're probably going to have to go back to our half foundations again. Let's make those concrete, just like this. I really wish there was quarter foundations in this, and I might have to go back to Structural Solutions to get what I want out of this too. So let's just put that like that. And then let's cap it off on either side here with more of these corner pieces. Alright, I think that is as close as we are going to get. We are using the concrete pillars here on the side, and those are actually at 115% saturation versus the 100% saturation of the concrete outer corner extensions. We can't do anything about those orange stripes that those have because we're just stuck with them. I've also nudged out these concrete pillars just by one small tick. The control click, which I think is just like 5 centimeters or something, some ridiculously small amount, and those then set out a little bit, and that kind of helps with the contrast here because otherwise it cuts in and you just get very, very dark lines around the sides. You still have those dark lines, but it's not as pronounced when you do it this way. So I think it gives it a little bit more interesting texture as well. So I kind of like that pillar design. Let's see how it looks at scale. Alright, after playing with those colors for a while, I got a little frustrated that I couldn't quite get everything to look the way I wanted it to, so I went with this instead. Same basic layout, we're just putting a red stripe around the middle, and to make sure that those stripes stay vibrant, these are actually outer corner extensions like these, just turned around backwards, because we can't trust the concrete pillars to have exactly the same color without playing with those weird saturation points above 1.0. So that works pretty well for us. So we are going to save this as our concrete pillar with stripe. So to line up this first set of our pillars here, I'm going to pull off a bunch of these frame foundations because ideally I want that red stripe to line up in a vertical rhythm with this red stripe. So to get that, what we do is we go over here and we grab our blueprint for that red concrete pillar. Now it does have a foundation in the middle of it, so we should be able to line it pretty nicely here, but we go in underneath and we make sure that that looks all right, nicely lined up. Okay, that's correct. Now we nudge it up again using our infinite nudge until it lines up perfectly with that edge. So that's right there. That's going to be perfect. So when I place this, that's then going to snap right into that and be exactly in the right spot. See that? Beautiful. Now, like I said, I don't think I want these columns to go all the way up, but that will give us the vertical rhythm that we want. So now, if I place another one of these beneath it, these are all going to be regularly matched from that same spot. So let's go ahead and pull off these foundations real quick, just like that. We grab up our blueprint again, and let's stick it right on the bottom of this. Now, this time when I place this, let's see here, let's hold it there, and we can just nudge it into place a little bit. It just needs to come forward just like that. and put it there. And then I put another one underneath it, same way. There we go. Hold that there. Nudge it. Good. All right, so now all of these are in the same rhythm with that line. There we go, and that's the tweaked rhythm a little bit there. So I'll update our blueprint so it's just 4 meters taller here. Now do note that this rhythm is not exact. For those of you all who are paying very close attention, you'll see that these are going to be off by 1 meter from this rhythm. But it's close enough that you're not going to really be able to tell from a distance. It's only when you're super close up on it you'd notice that we have these little 1 meter extensions in the middle, bumping everything up by 1 meter. So rather than redo my entire factory, I'm just going to live with the fact that it's off by 1 meter, and you know what? It's going to be perfectly fine, and we're not going to complain. One important pro tip I will mention for those of you all who are doing lots of big builds is as you refine your designs, update your actual blueprints. So for instance, when I added that 5th row on these, I went ahead and went back to my blueprint builder and made the tweak so that it's in the blueprint. And then, here's the big one, go back and replace those designs so that you actually have the tweaked version in your build as much as possible. If you've done a lot of it by hand and tweaked those, maybe don't go back and do it, but for the most part, it's generally going to pay off to go back and actually remove these. So for instance, this one that I've got here, I'm going to actually remove this, and these are individual pieces here, so I'm going to go remove these. Now, why do we do this? The main reason we do this is so that it's easier for cleanup. If I do make a mistake, I can just remove that as a whole blueprint rather than individual pieces. That's going to make a big difference. The other reason is if for whatever reason you have tweaked something like a color and you're using a swatch, the swatch will automatically update as well. So you want those swatches to be able to be updatable. So if you've manually colored something with a custom color like I did here, like these custom whites, if you changed that and didn't use a swatch, if you didn't use a swatch and you changed that, then it's not going to propagate. So that's going to be a problem. So the next design element that I want to introduce into here is more of these stairways and walkways to connect things up. I started playing with this a little bit and I was liking how it fit nicely, where you can get to these different levels of our build by just pulling off a couple of our railings here and being able to go up and down between the sections. And I think that's going to be one of the big hallmarks here of this build, is I really want it to be structurally so that you can kind of move around with it and go to different layers. I really love the way this kind of comes together when you play with these designs here. A lot of my builds, I tend to, put off the notion of accessibility altogether. I sometimes even forget to, put things like doors and whatnot on here. Now, all of these do have doors, but the internals of how you can actually navigate the structure aren't a priority for me in a lot of cases. But for this one, I really want this to feel like a factory that people are going to be going in and out of and being able to have to, mess with the different components and fix things and whatnot. So I want it to feel consistent and coherent in that way. So I've started playing with that a little bit here by adding these walkways as part of the original design detail. Now, back inside here, I want to play with that even more so that you really feel like you're going up and down different levels and all that sort of stuff. Alright, so we are getting there now. This is pretty close, but I do want to see a lot more extraneous catwalks running throughout this facility. So inside, I have added a bunch, so you can get to every floor now through these catwalks, but I really want to make it so that you can start moving around the outside as well. So I might add a few more layers here of catwalks coming down from inside the building to the outside here, and maybe running along these edges. So maybe we start by adding some platforms around the top edges of these. So let me see here. If I grab my architecture, I'm using modern railing for everything. So yeah, we'll use our standard catwalks for this. So if I start putting these around this edge, I think we could actually have something pretty interesting looking as well. And this is going to give us our basic structure. Yeah, I like the way that works. Okay, nice. And then I think off the back of here, we're also going to run another one from here out to these structures. We'll probably pull these foundations out of the way. And then we need some that are going up and down. We want this to look a little bit zany. Not zany, but it should be a little too cluttered because this is a little too clean right now. And we want to make it look like all of this is deliberate and intentional. So stepping back, I think these platforms are fine, but I want them to be chunkier like these. So I am going to tear this back up and replace it with these grip metal foundations as well. I think that's going to look a little bit better here. And then I can also run these beams along the front. Now we lose a little bit of the vertical rhythm there of the red lines on here if we put the red lines at a different spot, but I think it's still going to look fine. So let me try that on this side real quick and see where we land. So that is going to look much more interesting for us. I think that breaks up the space a lot better when you have that extra little bit of gap there. It makes it look a little more floaty. I think that looks nice. So let me go ahead and repeat this and finish this out for the rest of the bottom of this structure. And then we need to add some more layers. So I'm going to go a little wild from there and start freehanding in a bunch of other platforms here that are going to fill in the rest of this sort of space to give us all sorts of little nooks and crannies that look like they were deliberately designed to be part of this overall base structure. Maybe I'll do a little montage, you know, everybody loves a montage, right? Now that we've finished off most of the split levels, it's time to finish up our decoration. And I think for this, we are going to do minimal, but deliberate lighting here, just a couple of little spots where we want things to shine down properly. But I also want to play with painting some of these walkways so that we have some interesting colors here. So maybe we choose like some of these path pieces here. This doesn't work so well when it's going through the center, but maybe we have something else here that we can use. But I think these sorts of like crosswalk designs and stuff, I think will add a lot of interesting visual texture to what we've got going on here. So I'm going to start putting these in place in various areas. Oh, and it looks like you can't apply them to half foundations. That is a shame because we are using a lot of half foundations in here. So I'm going to start plonking some of these down in various spots. So things like this. And then also, when I customize this, I want to make it so that our colors also match. Is this gonna give us that painting we want? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're just gonna play with that, and we're not gonna do too much of it. We don't want to overwhelm this design with lots and lots of different patterns all over the place. Just little spots where we think it's gonna add a lot to the texture. So for instance, these factory zone patterns. So let's do like half factory zones, like across here, and then we go back and we change our color here and make that the red swatch we had just done. Something like that. I think this starts to add little bits of visual interest, but again, we don't want this to be overwhelming. Alright, so here we have our finished build. Let's turn on global lighting and take a closer look. So you can see here I've added all of these various split levels across the bottom of this to kind of give it a lot more flavor and interest. Now I could go back through here and add some more deco pieces to make these actually look like they're functional areas of some sort, but for right now I just kind of like it with the different platforms melding into the rock forms and giving us kind of these nice little details. I think it just kind of makes the space look a little more interesting and organic. I really like how that came together. On the upper floors, we added a lot of lighting, more than I was originally planning. I was thinking it was going to be a much darker build, but I think that the end result here looks really nice. You get that wonderful glow, and the pieces kind of fit together really well. Now, all of it is completely walkable, so if I actually come down here, I can navigate through the whole space. So let's turn off clipping real quick. No clip, and turn off flying. All right. And now you can literally just walk around the whole space. I've tried to make it so that everything is actually accessible. So, you know, we can climb up here and get to this intermediate level, then climb up to the next level, and so forth, and actually get access to all of the machines. Obviously, there's no immediately direct route here, so I might add one of the mods that gives us elevators to allow us to get more direct access into the building. But here we have our logistics floor where all of our outputs are coming out, so slowly but surely those will be filling in here. And then we can go up here and actually gain access to the back of the manufacturers themselves where our inputs are all being routed. So if I come around this side, now we can actually look down over our facility and also, you know, change up our manufacturers. The workers need to do repairs or anything, you have full access here to all of these levels. Of course, we can go up through the back here and get access to the top floor of manufacturers as well. All of this is relatively well connected and easy to access all the way to the top. We can go up here. So now we have access to all of this space. And of course, this lovely little tunnel that runs around the back. And I started building out access to the back here where this lake is. Nope, that's the wrong turn. If we go this way, up and around, we can actually even come out here and have a nice little backdoor exit. You can kind of see what I did with the back of this facility as well. So eventually we'll connect up this facility properly instead of just having a big piece of concrete on either side, but that will grow as we need more manufacturers. So another row of them will pop out on this side, and these will all connect up nicely. But for now, yeah, that is the finished design. I think it turned out really nicely. So as always, please do hit the like button if you like the content that I'm creating here, and do please hit that subscribe button if you like what I am doing on my channel in general. All of those likes and subscribes really, really help. And leave a comment too if you like my designs. Let me know what you like about them, what you don't like about them, areas that I can improve, and other tips. You all leave me some really great tips. Just a reminder that I am going to be continuing on this Satisfactory series. So I am mixing in more Minecraft videos. I am doing a playthrough of the Sky Revolutions mod pack right now, and I'm really enjoying that. that, and that's going to fill in some of my extra content, because again, it takes me about 2 weeks to build one of these things with just everything else I have going on. So my big builds in Satisfactory will keep coming, but the videos are just not going to come quite as often. So that's about it for today. Next episode, we are finally going to get it started on trains. Now that we are manufacturing the heavy frames and the computers, we can start setting up our train network, and that means officially bringing plastic over to this facility and the other facilities we're going to be building. So tune in next time for our getting started on the train network. Thanks again for watching. See you back here then. Bye, friends.